to do a hamstring stretch with our legs crossed, scissors. It's also called, you're going to cross your legs, right leg over left, and your knee can be slightly bent behind your leg, so it doesn't have to be locked out straight. And then what I want you to do from the side, it'll be easier to see. What I want you to do is come down, and your goal is to try to touch your nose towards your knee. You may or may not get there, but you're going to try to come down, touch your nose to your knee. If you're bent like this, you'll feel it release in your hamstrings, so you want your legs as straight as you can, and you want to try to come down and touch your nose towards your knees, keeping your legs straight. So you're going to alternate, switch legs. You can bend your knee next to your other knee. Come down. Try to lean into it. Feel it stretching. Try to touch your nose towards your knees, keeping your legs as straight as you can keep them. That's a standing scissors hamstring stretch. We're going to do a calf stretch similar to a yoga pose called downward facing dog. What I want you to do is get into a plank position, and I want you to walk your feet towards your hands. So walk your feet as close to your hands as you can get it, trying to keep your heels on the ground and your knees straight. So if I'm here, my knees are bent and I can't get my heels to the ground, then I'm going to move my feet back and I'm going to try to get my heels to the ground. If I just do not have that flexibility, so I'll move my feet a little bit further out, and then I'm going to press with my hands, drop my head down, and I'm going to try to press my heels to the ground. And eventually I will have that flexibility in order to then start moving my feet forward. So you're going to feel it stretching up your calf. So that's a calf stretch. So we're going to do a stretch for your quads. And what I want you to do is get down on the ground. If you need a pad for your knees, that's fine. Bring your one foot way out in front of you. And then you're going to stretch down. So I want your hands down towards the ground. I want you to drive your hips down towards the ground. And you'll feel it stretching in your hip flexors and your quads on one leg, and then your hips on the other leg. So keep your chest up. Drive your hips down. If you can at this point, try to drop your elbows to the ground for an extra little stretch in your hips. And then we're going to switch to the other side. Right? So you have your Sampson stretch here, and then take your hands down to the ground. Drive your hips down towards the ground. Your other knee is coming out. Your foot is straight. And then if you can, drop to your elbows. You'll feel this pulling in your quads, hip flexors, through your rotators and your hips. So we're going to take a Sampson stretch to the next level. The Sampson stretch is where your knee, hip, and shoulder are in alignment, and your front leg is way out in front of you, and you drive your hip to the ground, stretching your quads and your hip flexors. So this is the Sampson stretch, and we just stretch those hip flexors out, right? But then we take it to the next level by getting our hamstrings involved. So what I want you to do is shift back onto your heel and sit back and get those hamstrings stretched here. Then, after you sink into this stretch, then move your back leg back into a split position and do both stretches at the same time and try to get as low to the ground as you can possibly get. And then you just hold it there, and then you switch sides. So, you come around to the other side, Sampson stretch here, driving your hip flexors down. Then you're going to come back, get your hamstring stretched here and lean back on it. Hold that so you kind of sink into it, and then move your back leg back further into more of a split position, getting both your hip flexors on one leg and your hamstrings on the other. So we're going to do a stretch for your lats. What I want you to do is kneel down, with your toes together, heels out, and sit down on your feet. Your arms are going to come out in front of you, and instead of your hands being flat, I want you to come up to spider fingers and keep your elbows up off the ground. Drop your head down between your arms and press your chest towards your legs. Then what you're going to do is you're going to shift your weight to your right side, to right hip, your right hip's on your right foot, and then walk your hands around to your left, leading with your right leg. And this you'll feel it stretch all down your lats. Then you're going to come center, and then you're going to sit with your weight on your left foot and walk your hands around to the right, leading with your left arm, and And you'll feel the stretch all down your lats here. And sink down into it, and just hold it till you sink into it. And then you come up, you'll feel it stretch for your legs. We're going to do a stretch for your chest and your shoulder. What you're going to do is you're going to come down, and your arm's going to be at a right angle, and your other arm's going to be straight out to the side, trying to press your shoulder to the ground. And then once you sink into that, bring it through, and try to press the back of your shoulder to the ground. And then switch arms. Right ankle at your elbow, shoulder to the ground, arm out. And then bring it through. Press the back side of your shoulder to the ground. Feel it stretching across the back of your shoulder.